Brendan Allen just exposed the French MMA Commission for UFC Paris, saying that they basically held him and Moicano back after weigh-ins while being completely dehydrated to get samples and kept them there for hours, whilst, not just that, Moicano and Allen had to do this, but apparently Benoit Saint-Denis and Nasruddin Imavov didn't have to do this at all. This is corruption, so I have to make a video about this today. I wasn't going to post a video today, but this has to be mentioned before the fight. We're also going to talk about Diego Lopes. He's the backup fighter for Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. I mean, this guy's just, if this guy ain't your favorite fighter in the entire sport, what are you doing right now? Okay? Diego Lopes is the man. We're going to be talking about that in a second. And a few fights have been shifted about. We've got Evloev Sterling rebooked. We've got Gane versus Volkov rebooked. We've also got Luque versus Diaz rebooked as well. I'll talk about those at the end of the video. But we need to talk about this first. I'm going to play the video through. Brendan Allen's blocked me on Twitter, but I don't care. Had to use this to get the message across. We're going to be looking into what Brendan Allen has to say here. Have a listen.
Just so everyone knows, France has the most corrupt way of dealing with fighters ever in the whole world. Had fucking over 40 fights, fought outside the country, in the country, different states, that state. Made weight, no problem.
Interesting to say, because we've never heard an allegation like this. There might have been one or two across the years. We've at least not heard this from Brendan Allen. He's been in a bunch of different countries, bunch of different commissions. We've never had this from him. This is a random thing for him to just make up and lie about for no reason. And to also bring Moicano in on. He didn't just say, this happened to me, guys, and it's biased. And then people could maybe suggest, this guy's lying, he's injured, and he's getting an excuse in beforehand. So maybe we'll hear from Moicano afterwards. Maybe a media member will nut up in front of the French Commission and ask him about this after the fight, before the fight, wherever they can. But he's brought Moicano in on it with him. So I think this validates what he's saying, okay?
Then they're going to tell me that I have to give blood or urine. First they said urine. I got to give urine. Right off the scale. So dehydrated.
Crazy. They've just made weight. Not just dehydrated. They're on 0 liquid. They have none to give. They have depleted themselves to make weight. They have nothing to give. And now they're doing urine tests. The French Commission is doing... This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. If you want a urine test that close to the fight... By the way, they're going above and beyond what the drug testing agency for the UFC is doing here. They're taking it into their own hands, which I don't mind. But if you're going to take a urine test, how about you catch a guy while he's cutting weight? At least then he'll probably be obliged to. You know what I mean? He's trying to get rid of liquids. Take blood. Get rid of however much that blood's going to be worth, that vial of blood. You know what I mean? If you're going to take liquids from someone, aid their weight cut in doing so. Don't wait for them to be on the scale, weighed in, on weight, where they've got nothing to give, and then start taking blood from them. Not just that, asking for urine. And we're going to get into the next bit here.
So dehydrated, waited 3 hours, finally have to pee. Then they tell me I got to give blood on top of that. I do the...
So he has to wait 3 hours. By the way, the commission, you can't just leave and come back with urine. They're going into their own way. They're going out of their own way here to do this. The French Commission. Who do they think they are? On a real though. This needs to be made more of a deal of, which is why I need to make this video. Moicano needs to vouch for this as well if he's watching, or if he can tweet about this and mention, yes, this did happen, because I doubt Brendan Allen would bring him in on it if he knew that Moicano was going to say that's bullshit, it never happened. The fact that Imavov and Benoit Saint-Denis didn't have to go through this is crazy, but they're asking for urine. You can't leave. They're under the commission. You know what I mean? They have to stay there until they can urinate. Meanwhile, they're like, I'm on weight. What do you mean wait here until I can urinate? Anything I drink now, my body's not going to want to get rid of. So they're basically held captive by the commission. Allegedly. This is all allegedly. Held captive by the commission for hours after making weight and being on 0 liquid to give urine. How is that not corruption of the highest order? What is going on?
Blood on top of that. I do the urine. They say they're going to do blood. They do blood. They don't get enough. They try to tell me they need more. I said, you're not going to stick me again.
So they're overstepping again. We need a blood test from you as well. If I'm Brendan Allen, I'm like, what the fuck is it? I'm being tested by the UFC's agency. What the fuck are you guys doing here? I'm on weight. Now, like, we're taking blood from you while you're on weight. Probably the like, least healthy way you could ever take blood from someone. You just made weight, depleted yourself by however many pounds it was. A lot of fighters cut a lot of weight. I'm assuming Brendan Allen and Moicano do as well. They're not exactly small for their weight class. But they're like taking blood from these guys. You got to wait here. You can't dip. Benoit Saint Denis and Evloev are gone. Back to their hotel room. Let them play.
No main, like, top guy of France had to do this shit. So just me and Moicano had to do this. The two most important fights on the card, and the two Frenchmen didn't get to have anything. They just get to go to their room, sleep, chill, eat, do everything they want to do. Fuck this place. This place is a fucking shithole.
True about Paris. Absolutely true. We can't say why, though. But it's absolutely true that it's an absolute dump and a shithole. And I hope this spurs Moicano on to say what needs to be said in the post-fight speech. I'm rooting for Moicano and Brendan Allen now, dude. This is absolute... First, the fucking opening ceremony of the Olympics. And now this! I'm at my wit's end with France, okay? It is such a disgrace. This is so wrong. Evloev, Benoit Saint Denis don't have to do this. They're, as he said, in their hotel room, chilling, recovering, eating all their foods and drinks. Allen and Moicano, you two have to stay. No. We'll wait until you can piss, you dehydrated person on zero liquid. You drink now in front of us. You don't get to go back to your room and do your rehydration ceremony that I'm sure a lot of fighters have. A ritual, a schedule, a structure to their rehydration where they've got it down to a science. You got to stay here for hours. No, don't disappear. You stay here. We'll be waiting with you. You're giving us blood and urine. Absolutely insane. This is corruption. I need Moicano to mention if this happened or not. I'm not pressuring him to do it before the fight. I actually found out about this live on stream and I was like, I'm going to message Moicano. And then I was like, actually, no, I'm not, because it's like 4 a.m. in France or 5 a.m. in France. And I'm not going to put that on his mind right now. So maybe leave this in terms of pressuring him for an answer until after the fight. I wanted to make this before the fight. And this is the annoying thing after the O'Malley Merab video. I don't do things to glaze. I needed to get this out before the fight because I didn't want to, heaven forbid, see Moicano lose and then start bringing this up afterwards. Because that's just a fucking, I'm going, back to back on being trashed week after week there. You know what I mean? So I had to do it before. So it has no, I'm not, because he lost, you're bringing this up. No, this is crazy. This is corruption. This is weak from the French people. Like, French people need to speak up a bit about this. They genuinely do. This is showing that you guys are being pandered to. This is so bad. You're that insecure about what's going to happen in these fight results. You need a win that badly, that this is the extent you're going to. This is something I would expect. No offense to any of the countries I'm about to list. If they did a UFC China event, we ain't heard none of this from a UFC China event. We've had a few events in China. This is the type of thing I would expect, when you think about, they're trying to get their fighters a one over. This is the type of thing I thought I would hear it from, They go to a random other place for the first time and there's all these weird testing things that they're doing and, maybe even Abu Dhabi. I know Abu Dhabi's rigged the scale a few times for Habib and some things here and there that have gone on. And, we also had a bit of a scale situation with Oliveira, didn't we? With the Gaethje fight. That was weird. They gave him a bad scale and everyone was off by 0.5. There's been a few moments, but this is crazy. So I needed to make a video about this before the fight. We need to make noise about this. France doesn't get to do this. They don't get to get away with this. If this is true, this is almost investigation worthy. And the UFC needs to investigate this. I know you're pandering and we just need to make sure the UFC Paris card happens every year. It's a new market for us. I don't care. You hear this complaint from Brendan Allen this is a title elimination bout fight, by the way. Remember, he didn't mention anyone else on the card having this done. So they don't care about the lower ones, which means this ain't a routine thing. Okay? They're targeting the co-main and main, where it's big fights on the line. Benoit, they either have a prospect at lightweight or they don't. That's the situation France is in with that one, in terms of Benoit, Saint Denis, Moicano. And in this one where they either have a title elimination bout, Gane and Evloev, or they don't. Important fights. UFC needs to investigate and take this seriously, and we need to hear from Moicano after the fight. Post-fight interview, any media member that sees this video, ask him. We need an answer. Crazy. So that's that. Awful. Absolutely awful that they're trying that. And I believe him as well. I absolutely believe him. So we'll see what happens. We got full violence. Diego Lopes, right? Let's get into some good news because this guy's just great. I'm switching the energy up real quick. Diego Lopes is the backup fighter for Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway at UFC 308 on October the 26th. In an era where these 12 for 12 prospects are complaining about fighter pay and they don't get paid enough while fighting once a year, we got Diego Lopes. You know? He's the backup for this. This is before Evloev's next fight. Remember that slam dunk that Diego Lopes did on Evloev? Where he said, I've fought 5 times since our fight and you fought once. And he was saying, not to mention you ain't got a finish. And he was saying, I've got this finish and that finish has one hair curling and I'm going to have to trim that afterwards. One hair keeps curling into my mouth. But he's saying you ain't got a finish. You know, I finished this many people. I just beat Ortega. Before that, I beat, Dan Ige stepped up, saved the card there. That was a short notice fight that he took with Ortega the first time. It got booked within like 4 weeks of the event or some shit, or 3 weeks. And now he's not done. 3 rounds with Ortega, where I would assume he picked up maybe an injury. And he's still taking this opportunity to be the backup opponent. Now, I will say this. The fact that they've done this with Lopes so close to the event, few weeks out from Topuria versus Holloway, makes me worry that maybe a Holloway or a Topuria might have a staph infection or a minor injury that they know they might be able to get over, but a little bit of a grey area type injury. Who knows? I hope that's not the case. I hope this is just the UFC trying to be prepared and have Diego Lopes as a backup. But this is a real fighter, man. And this guy's probably going to be one of the most highest earning contenders in the UFC right now, purely because of this. I think this is all within a year, is it not? Not all within a year, but I don't think he's been in the UFC for 2 years. I really don't. I don't remember when he fought Evloev, but this is crazy levels of activity, this guy. He fights every 2 or 3 months. And now he's the backup. And he's going to get paid. I love this. I love when fighters that deserve it get paid. He's definitely going to make a decent amount of cash to be the backup opponent here. He's going to get show money, at least, which I assume for Lopes, if my calculations are around correct. I'd assume after the Ortega matchup, Lopes is at least on 100 for 100. At least. That would be my guess of a contract that he's on. He could have maybe had a bit of a better contract if he would have rose a bit slower. But he's speeding through contracts, so I think they're probably got him on a show up, get 100K situation to be the backup opponent. It should be more, but, maybe it will be. Maybe that's the deal that they worked out. Who knows? But normally it's show money that the fighter gets, unless they're making millions to show, in which case the UFC is like, you didn't fight, you're not getting millions. You know what I mean? But this is crazy. You got to respect Lopes. One thing I do want to say, though, Volkanovski said he doesn't want to fight Lopes. It's kind of annoying. I get people want to see Volk get another shot at the title. Before I see Volk fight for legacy again, I want him to prove he's still at the top. I want him to prove he's still got it. I don't want to have Ilia if he beats Holloway. If Holloway wins, I get the Volk title shot, absolutely. But if Ilia wins and smokes Holloway, I'm not that amped for a Volk rematch. Because then if Volk loses by KO again, it's like, Volk's washed, he's done. I'd rather a Volk going into a rematch with Ilia if he does beat Holloway be like, this guy just beat Lopes. He's still got it. He's back. This is still a huge legacy fight. Don't mind it if it doesn't happen, but you got to respect Lopes for this. Evloev somewhere crying right now because his fight just got rebooked with Aljo, but he's now back at the queue. Let's just face it, because he don't do things like this. None of them lot do. They never. This is why you got to love the Western Chads, okay? Because they step up on this type of thing. And they take the fights. And they just, 2 months later, sign me up. You know what I mean? We don't see this from the other lot. That's all I'm going to say. This is great. Love it. Hopefully Lopes gets paid more than just his 100K show money. Give him $250,000. This is a huge fight card. And he's guaranteeing saving your precious Abu Dhabi card, basically, is he not? Even though it's not as big of a fight as Holloway versus Topuria is. I mean, Turkey Al-Sheikh, give this guy an extra 100K. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because he's ensuring that there's a good card on the line. So he deserves some compensation for it. Amazing stuff from Diego Lopes. We got Evloev versus Sterling. Rebooked. I like this. You know, I do like it being rebooked. I hate when we get a fight and then now we have to pretend that, now they go off and fight different opponents. There wasn't really any other different opponents for these guys. You've got Arnold Allen ranked number 7 in between them. Evloev's already beaten him. Using the downward touch the ground, you can't knee me in the head rule. Even though all of the knees were legal and Goddard made a massive, massive error and he would have maybe got finished. It is what it is. But Evloev versus Aljo. Sick fight. Great fight. There was trash talk on the line, so I'm glad this doesn't just fizzle out into nothing because they were both going back and forth online for a long time about this. Aljo made a lot of accusations about him. Evloev was responding to them aggressively, and they were trashing each other. So I'm glad we get this because arguably it's a bigger fight now. You know what I mean? Because we get more time to promote it. It felt like it only started getting interesting like a week or two before the fight. So this re-ignition of the promotion of it probably will do wonders. So this shows that Aljo's injury wasn't anything crazy. It does make me more confident in my Evloev pick. That Aljo wasn't ready to fight a month before this or 6 weeks before this, but he thinks he'll be ready to fight 6 weeks after. I never like when a guy does that and it's so close. If this was rebooked for February, January, I'd be like, okay, whatever injury Aljo had, it's fine. But this makes me worried that he's going to go in with something that he's been healing up during camp. You know what I'm saying? So, good fight. I mean, UFC 310 needed it. I don't know what else they're going to put on that card. Maybe I'll make a video giving all the matchups that I'd put on those cards. But this happened. Rebooked. We've also got Gane versus Volkov too. I always was saying that this got rebooked for 310. A lot of people were saying it's cancelled. They're not fighting. Should Gane fight Aspinall now? And I was like, no, guys, it's been rebooked, but now we've got some officialness to it. Tom Aspinall mentioned the other day, so he must have known that it got rebooked because he mentioned the other day he'll fight the winner if the winner of Jones versus Miocic doesn't fight him. So that's big. That's in December. That also means that we might not see Aspinall till April, May. Jones, you idiot. Ruining heavyweight, man. Why is Dana letting him... Oh, we know why. Diddy parties, you know. Here's what it is. Gane Volkov 3. Gane Volkov 2. I read the 3 for some reason. Big fight. Again, this doesn't make me confident for Volkov. He said he had a knee injury. He disclosed the injury. I'm switching picks. I'm going to go Gane. It was such a I'm going to say teeter-tot fight. Whatever, you know, when you teeter back and forth on something. I think that's a word. Did I make that up? I think when you teeter back and forth is when the balance point is in the middle and it's kind of rocking a little bit, right? What am I talking about? Either way, this matchup, I had Volkov, but I had him by like a few variables. Like, okay, I don't know how confident Gane is. I don't know about this, but Gane's a good low kicker. And one thing he was doing to Volkov a lot in the first fight was going for the low kicks to the inside leg, to the outside leg, around the knee area. And Volkov, I was thinking, like, what if he shoots a takedown on Gane? Gane ain't got shit on the ground, we found out. You know what I mean? But now I'm hearing it's a knee injury. I'm thinking, Gane likes the stomp. You know? Gane likes the inside-outside low kicks around that region of the leg. On Volkov, you can't help but hit that region of the leg. You know what I mean? Because he's so tall. You're not going to have the same shot if he wants to go that route on Gane. I'm going to go Cyril Gane now. I'm switching my pick. I don't like this. I don't like that the fights get rebooked so close after someone just said, I'm injured and I can't fight. The injury was bad enough for them to pull out. So they're nursing it up and healing it up so they can be ready 6 weeks later. I'm not confident now. I'm going to go with Gane and I'm going to go with Evloev for sure. That would be my betting advice for you two. I'm looking at 2 people on screen. I'm losing it, guys. That'd be my impression. That'd be my betting advice for everyone watching. Take that into consideration to reaffirm your pick or to maybe switch your pick in a fight as close as this. Because remember, that first fight was very close. Very close. Even though Gane won it and won it clear, Volkov did good in round 1. He nearly got round 2. And he had some good moments in the later rounds as well. But either way, we move on. Why? Z comes after Y. But still, Luque versus Diaz. It makes no sense. You guys don't say Z. Oh my God, that is a thing, isn't it? You guys say Z. Z is rare these days. I think I'm one of the few that still says Z. Either way. Luque versus Diaz. Why? There's matchups to make. I wish they would have kept Matt Brown around for this. That's what I wish. Matt Brown no longer fighting, but I bet you if they would have said, hey, we got Nick Diaz coming back for you. But what they're doing is they're giving Luque a win, I think. Appeasing Nick Diaz because he wants to fight again. So they're going to let him fight Luque. It's a ranked fight, so they can justify it being on the main card of a pay-per-view. And if Luque wins, they can then try and have one of their Prateses or Michael Moraleses go in there against Luque, the guy that just beat Nick Diaz and got a bit of popularity from it, and then they can try and use Luque. That's what I'm sensing from their business decision here. As a fight fan, which I wish the UFC were a bit more of these days, rather than just all about the business, I would have had a Nick Diaz versus Matt Brown matchup, and I would have made Matt Brown stick around. You know what I mean? In the first place. Maybe it wouldn't have happened by now, but in the first place, I would have loved a Matt Brown versus Nick Diaz matchup. Maybe too late for it now, but, I mean, this is Nick Diaz. Is it too late for it? I'm sure Matt Brown would have said yes to that idea. Luque versus Diaz. Sucks, man. I think Luque's going to beat him. Now, Luque's not been the same. He ain't taken shots the same. Couple calf kicks and Nick Diaz is cooked. Like, that's all I'm telling Luque if I'm in his corner. If I'm Henry Hooft and I'm training Luque for this fight, I'm like, dude, this old man has never experienced a calf kick like the new age MMA guys. He ain't fought in ages. He's not going to be conditioned like he once was. He's old as fuck. Chop the calf a few times early and he'll be absolutely a victim for you. Guts for, he'll be lamb for slaughter. Guts for garters. It's over if that happens. So if I'm Luque, I'm chopping the calf early a few times. Not getting KO'd because it's Nick Diaz. Even though he can, I just don't think in his old age he's going to be able to. Punch is very slow these days. Very weak. I'm going to go for Vicente Luque vicious KO. Or a sub. Probably a KO though. I trust in Diaz's jiu-jitsu defense more than I do his chin. So I'll say KO from Luque in round 1. Tough. Either way, that's the news. Make some noise about this, though. This is crazy. See you later, guys. Toodle pip, and goodbye.